cloud. First Sundays, everyone. We are a place where we can gather to share deeply about our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, our grief, while being guided by the four paths of creation spirituality. During our time together, we will honor each other, ourselves, our ancestors, and the earth and the universe. We will be looking at our lives and the world we live in through the lens of creation spirituality. We will spend time discussing and examining current issues and ideas as presented in the talks given at our May 2025 gathering. All are welcome. This is an open and inclusive community. I invite you to get comfortable in whatever way suits you best and take a few breaths. You might want to put yourself on mute and use gallery view so that you can see everyone. We usually spend about 90 minutes together. And our team members are Patty, Lori, Margie, who's not here tonight, Cheryl, Carolyn, and Michael, who's also not here tonight. Creation spirituality is the age-old tradition of listening to the story of spirit told by the creation that embodies it. We listen through deep communion with nature. We listen to the voices of mystics from all spiritual traditions, such as Rumi, Buddha, Hildegard, Black Elk, and Jesus. I'm turning it over to Patty. Oh, wait, I was going to do that part, right?
That's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
Okay. The sixth principle for the 6th month. Every one of us is a mystic. We can enter the mystical as much through beauty, via positiva, as through contemplation and suffering, via negativa. We are born full of wonder and can recover it at any age.
Tonight, we're going to replay a talk that was given to us by an extraordinary scientist and speaker, J.D. Stillwater. He calls himself a science ambassador, and his talk has haunted me since I saw it in June of 2025, of last year. And he talks about ancestral trauma that may be passed on from generation to generation through genes, not through, like teaching or any psychological thing, physically. And I challenge you to listen to his talk and hear the echoes of it. And I've got confirmation that JD will join us after the video and be here to answer any questions, challenges, whatever you have about this wonderful talk.
So you're really in for a treat tonight. And this next slide, I don't know how fast you can type it down, but that is the link. If you want to go later and listen to them again, you have to go to CSC Communities and under events, it's got the gathering 2025.
We'll put that in the chat so you can copy it from the chat. Okay.
Joining the circle. As we take this time to welcome each other into our circle, please, oops, okay, I've got to admit somebody else.
I got it.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself by stating the following aloud, or if you are uncomfortable introducing yourself aloud, you may use the chat box to introduce yourself. The name you wish to be called, pronouns you would like to refer to you, where on the planet you are speaking from, the names of the ancestors who lived or have lived on the land on which you reside now. And if you need help knowing who the ancestors were on the land before you, you can go to an app called native-land.ca and you enter your location. It'll tell you. It's got the whole map and everything out on it, and it'll tell you who lived on the land before you. So that's what we'll do. I'll start. I'm Lori Crockett, and I live in Winchester, Virginia. My pronouns are she and her, and I am on the land of the Manahoic and the Shawnee tribes.
I'm Patty McGrath. My pronouns are she, her, and I live on the land of the Manahoac and the Piscataway Conoy peoples on the Maryland side of the Potomac River.
I'm Joyce Rame in Fort Myers, Florida, and I'm on the land of the Calusa Indians who once were here but were totally eliminated, unfortunately. Every first Sunday of the month at our church, we acknowledge the Calusa Indians and thank them for the beautiful land that they have shared with us.
Vivian, you're still muted.
Sorry. I am Vivian. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I live on the land of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee, our ancestors, and the pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Tammy Fowles, and my pronouns are she, her, and I live on the land of the Androscoggin people.
I'm Carolyn Million, and I'm living in Alameda, California. This is the land of the Ohlone peoples, and my pronouns are he, Ken.
Hi, I'm Sherry Tyree, and I live on the land of the Wampanoag on Cape Cod, but I just arrived up in New Hampshire for a little solo 3-day camping retreat. So it's right on the lake here. It's beautiful. So.
So I am Anita Manuel, and I use she, her, but I don't yet know what people lived here before me.
Cheryl?
Hey everybody, my name is Cheryl Passarge, and I am in Edmonds, Washington, just north of Seattle, and it's the land of the Duwamish and the Suquamish.
Welcome. And we have a special guest. JD, we're going around the room and just introducing ourselves, our pronouns, and the land we lived on.
Eating, he wrote in the chat. I can read what he said.
Yes.
He said, JD Stillwater, tuning in from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, land of the, anybody know how to pronounce this?
Susquehannock.
Thank you. Conestoga people thought to be completely eliminated, but only because the system does not want to acknowledge the debts owed to their descendants. I met some of them recently. And also Lori, his earlier chat says, just home from 5 hours drive from Ohio, eating quickly, so video is off, but I am present.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl, for doing that, because it's really hard for me to read the chats while I'm moving the slide. So I appreciate that help. Okay, let's move on to our next little piece of information. At this time, as we have welcomed those who are sharing the virtual circle with us, let us move more deeply into our connection with our Creator, our Source. You're invited to take a few slow, deep breaths. Invite your body to relax and to soften anything that has become too tight within. Shake yourself out a bit. Become more comfortable in your skin. Follow the rising and falling of your breath. Center in your personal rhythm. Invite yourself in your own way. Turn your awareness to the vital life force that is within and all around you, and the vital love force that binds the universe together. Hold a moment of stillness with me Let the stillness surround you. Invite yourself to become present to the deep reservoir of life that resides in this stillness. Now, if everybody has a candle, we're going to take a moment to light this candle as a symbol of our renewed connection with our Creator. You can light a candle or hold up a picture of a candle or find a candle on your cell phone, or even just imagine your thumb as a candle and imagine lighting that. All of these lights remind us of the one light, the first light, our connection to the first beginning, the great flaring forth of creation. We now acknowledge this light and remember that everything in the known universe has its origin in a single point of light. We all stand together in the light of creation. And we will take a moment to honor the directions. You can turn to each direction or imagine it in your mind, or actually move around in the room, however you'd like to do it. We're going to honor the 7 directions. First, please turn to the east. We honor the direction of the east, the dawn of the day, and all of the ancestors and wisdom teachers of the east. Now, please turn to the south. We honor the direction of the south, the fullness of the day, and all of the ancestors and wisdom teachers from the south. Now, please turn to the west. We honor the direction of the west, the dimming of the day, and all the ancestors and wisdom teachers of the west. Now, please turn to the north. We will honor the direction of the north, the darkness of the night, and the shining of the stars, and all of the ancestors and wisdom teachers from the north. Now, we will turn inward to honor the Creator that we experience within. As the fire of the human heart, we give thanks. Or we take time to turn upward. We honor the Creator that we experience above us in the radiance of the heavens. Now, as we turn to look downward, we honor the Creator that we experience below us in the firmness of the earth. Ancestors and wisdom teachers from the 7 sacred directions, we thank you for your presence during our time together. Now, as we have honored the 7 sacred directions and our Creator, let us remember we are all part of this vast universe around us and within us, and that our home is within our Creator as we journey through this life. Turn it over to Carolyn.
Thank you, Lori. And so we have 2 opportunities today to do body prayer. And I thought what I would do is just kind of customize today our message, which JD, welcome. You might recognize these words. And what I am seeking to do here is to reinforce the message of what he has to say to us. I do want to start off with a little bit of a disclaimer because we do have, historically, I know, at least in a lot of the churches I've attended, this tradition of confessions. And I've always found confessions to be problematic because I always felt like I was affirming all these horrible things about myself that I'm really not that comfortable affirming. So I just want to start off by just saying to one another and to the universe, these are not affirmations that we're giving here. Rather, these are a learning tool to drive the point home that we're trying to learn now. And so these are old messages. These are messages that promote trauma. And I shouldn't describe them as old messages because they're messages that continue throughout our present everyday experience. They're messages for us to be attuned to and to be listening out for. So having said all that, I'll go ahead and sing through the body prayer once for you. I'm quite sure you'll get the hang of it quite quickly. And then we'll sing through it together, and then we'll kind of come up with some ideas of some motions and bring our bodies into our body prayer. So this goes to the tune of Wheels on the Bus. We don't want you to talk about race, talk about race, talk about race. We don't want you to talk about race. Keep your big mouth shut. We don't want you to trust others, trust others, trust others. We don't want you to trust others. You need to arm yourself. We don't want you to feel badly, feel badly, feel badly. We don't want you to feel badly. Big boys don't cry. We don't want you to remember, remember, remember. We don't want you to remember it never really happened. So these are the messages that we've kind of been carrying through. Our ancestors have a lot of them, our ancestors have reiterated these messages, and they're in our blood. Unfortunately, they're in our DNA, they're in our epigenetics. So it's important that we recognize them. So I think everybody's on mute here. So let's go ahead and let's sing through it together, and then we'll come up with some motions to bring it into our bodies. Are we ready? Okay. We don't want you to talk about race, talk about race, talk about race. We don't want you to talk about race. Keep your big mouth shut. We don't want you to trust others, trust others, trust others. We don't want you to trust others. You need to arm yourself. We don't want you to feel badly, feel badly, feel badly. We don't want you to feel badly. Big boys don't cry. We don't want you to remember, remember. We don't want you to remember it never really happened. Boy, that just reminds you of some of these Holocaust deniers, doesn't it? So I'm going to come up with some ideas. In the interest of time, I'm just going to go through them kind of quickly, and then we'll go through it together, and you can either follow along with what I'm doing or create your own arm motions or whatever it is you feel comes out of your body to embrace this in a bodily way. So for me, we don't want you to talk about race. I think of we don't want you to talk about race, like somebody's in your face. Don't talk about that. We don't want you to talk about race, talk about race, talk about race. We don't want you to talk about race. Keep your big mouth shut. So this is what I'm thinking of. Keep your big mouth shut. All right. And I know we're kind of rushing through it, but you'll get the idea of it. And then the next one is we don't want you to trust others, trust others, trust others. We don't want you to trust others. You need to arm yourself. So you're starting off, we don't want you to trust others as we bow and give homage to one another. Instead, we need to arm yourself. So you're taking out your rifle or your gun, you're arming yourself. This is in my version. You have your own version. And then we don't want you to feel badly. We don't want you to feel badly, feel badly, feel badly. We don't want you to feel badly. Now, big boys don't cry to me. I stand up straight, I jut my chest out, and I hold my hands over my chest. Big boys don't cry. So I'm just crossing off any feelings I might have and blocking everything off here. And then finally we end up with we don't want you to remember. So for me, I was thinking about remembering. I think that's a left brain activity. I think of my temporal lobe. So I think we don't want you to remember. We don't want you to remember. And I have my right hand over my chest with my eyes cast down. Because as remembering these things, it does bring us a sadness, and we want to reflect that in our countenance. But it never really happened. So for me, it's like It never really happened. And I'm holding my hands up and going, who knows? Who cares? I don't know what you're talking about. It never really happened. So with all of that, let's put all this fun together. I'm wishing you the best as we go through this, and myself as well. So here we go. All right. We don't want you to talk about race, talk about race, talk about race. We don't want you to talk about race. Keep your big mouth shut. We don't want you to trust others, trust others, trust others. We don't want you to trust others. You need to arm yourself. We don't want you to feel badly, feel badly, feel badly. We don't want you to feel badly. Big boys don't cry. We don't want you to remember, remember. We don't want you to remember. It never really happened. All right, well, thank you for going through that with me. And moving on now moving on to myself, actually. So now we are moving into that. By the way, we missed Michael. I especially miss Michael because he does body prayer for us, as many of you know. So I filled in for him just then. And now we get to the point of service that I'm much more familiar with here, in which we move into a circle of prayer and we bring ourselves into the circle where we are right now, actually. We want you to come as you are and to be open to what's within you at this moment. And so take a moment of stillness and notice what you are bringing into our time here, our moment of connection and community. And we're going to be sharing our responses in the chat box, and we'll be some of them will be read aloud, and then we will move into prayer. So we do ask that you're respectful in terms of what you learn from others here and that you hold confidentiality to our circle. And so as we move through the 4 paths, we want you to think now in terms of where over the past week, over the past month, over the past period of time, you've experienced joy, where you've experienced the via positiva. Perhaps it was the sunset. Perhaps it was a happy face on a child. But where have you experienced the via positiva? So put your comments in the chat box. This is a place of expressing gratitude.
You're muted,
You
Patty. Thank you.
dancing with 3-year-old twins at a wedding reception. Oh my. The joy of seeing a couple dancing together at their 50th wedding anniversary, looking at each other with so much genuine, deep love. On the Rainbow River. Reading The Soul of the Octopus, a wonderful book. Watching the Eagle camera at Big Bear Lake, California. Jackie and Shadow's eaglets. Sandy and Luna are growing visibly every day. Joyce wants more information about the book Octopus. Please list the author. Anita. Both pileated woodpeckers came to the suet cage at the same time. The Soul of an Octopus is by Cy Montgomery. Thank you, Anita. The weather today was fabulously hot. And joy at the success of a drone program in Ukraine. And the Zelensky message.
Indeed, we do have a lot to be grateful for, and we could spend all day and all night here just sharing ways that we've been touched and ways which we've been drawn into a place of gratitude. But we're also about experiencing the emptiness, about experiencing the grief. And so now we turn to that via negativa. And where have you experienced darkness, letting go, mystery, or loss in this past week or this month since we've last met? And you can name any darkness, mystery, grief, or loss of things that you do not understand. And this is also a place to mention any grief, sadness, regret, or loss of others that is stirring your heart. So take a moment of silence and place your comments in the chat box.
All right, I'm reading them now, so I'm going to even not fix my typing. The UU religion, along with many others, has lost its identity. It's been erased as they are now grouped all together as other. Grief every day for what's happening in and to my country. Grief over the continued hostilities and terrible conflicts in Gaza, Sudan, Ukraine, Iran, and Lebanon. Living with a steady grief while losing access to people. And Joel Rivas died this past week, one of very few friends in this building. So much wasteful spending and depriving people of basic needs. Ballrooms over breakfast for the young. Generalized sadness and loss of direction a few days ago. Wondering if my nervous system will ever be the same or even similar to pre-January 25.
Well, in the midst of so much change, including the grief that's elicited through our negative experiences, we are called in different ways to give birth to new creations. And so now, please name in the chat box one or two places where you are being called to create, especially the places where you're being called to expand your creativity or to mention others who are giving birth to new things and express your support for them.
You're muted.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, honey. Wondering if my nerve, no, I'm sorry. Planting seeds everywhere for summer vegetables. And Tammy says my weekly Substack entry. Really trying to figure out my identity, what's possible in the possible years ahead, now 82. Being in this conversation, preparing and leading sessions on discovering the sacred in everyday living, working on a summer camp for 40 inner city kids starts June 21st. Some amazing creative actions from Pope Leo XIV. Thank you, Lori. Got to go to the farmer's market yesterday morning with my mom and dad. So much lively life and beautiful and delicious produce.
Well, and our creativity does birth change and birth transformation. And so now let's move into the via transformation. And this is a place to name the transformation taking place both in yourself and in others, in the culture around us and the earth, and our social institutions and our deepest understandings of earth and her biorhythms. So this is also finally a place to mention those transformers who you feel particularly inspired by. Please use the chat box again. Thank you.
Speaking at my church, giving tips on how to keep going. Heroes I owe much. Jeremy Taylor, Matt Fox. Work with Indivisible. Devoting acts of service to others as transformation of both ourselves and others. Persistence of groups, such as UU groups, to stand strong in their stead. Woke up yesterday with the chorus of a Paula Cole song repeating hauntingly, "Come home," has led to some changes in plans. Weekly standing for democracy with the Badass Bridge Brigade over Route 1270.
And we are just so forever grateful for each one of these transformers in the circle and the circle of the extended beings from all of us outward. And so now let's turn our attention to issuing a prayer together to Source, bringing together all of these concerns that we have gathered, all of these joys. And so in praying infinite love, eternal Source, never-ending wisdom. Our physical being is born of stardust, and our immortal being lives in the breath of our Creator. We are the beloved children of the One, and you hold and welcome us, even as we are your blessed and beloved creation. You join us when times we're filled with awe, wonder, or gratitude. You comfort and connect with us when we feel alone through loss. You inspire us to bring forth essential medicine for the soul, and you offer creativity that heals and rejuvenates us. And finally, you call us to justice making and to live beyond ourselves in service to the communities that we are a part of. We give thanks. We recognize, even as you embrace us, just as we are in this moment, even as we embrace each other with love, acceptance, forgiveness, and the light that shines amongst us all. We give thanks. Om peace. Amen. And so we move from there now to a more positive message. Now we get to move to some affirmations. But just as I had a couple things I wanted to say before prayer, body prayer 1, I did want to also just say a little something about we all need now to talk about race. Because one thing we know about talking about race, I'm not sure how far we're going to get. So when we sing about talking about race, I want us actually to put our hand up to our ear. Because when we're talking, our primary responsibility is to listen. So even as we're saying we're talking about race, just keep that in mind that part of talking is listening. In fact, a bigger part of talking is listening, true deep listening. So, well, I'm going to start off here and do as we did before and sing this through for you. Think of these more as affirmations now. So, we all need now to talk about race, talk about race, talk about race. We all need now to talk about race. Let's work this conflict out. We all need now to trust others, trust others, trust others. We all need now to trust others. Let's use our arms to hug. We all need now to feel our grief, feel our grief, feel our grief. We all need now to feel our grief and let those feelings out. We all need now to remember our past, remember our past, remember our past. We all need now to remember our past and share it all together. All right, so now let's all sing it together. I think everybody's on mute. This is your chance. You've heard it once. Now you're going to sing it through, and then we'll come up with some hand motions and close the circle. All right? Let's join together in singing. We all need now to talk about race, talk about race, talk about race. We all need now to talk about race. Let's work this conflict out. We all need now to trust others, trust others, trust others. We all need now to trust others. Let's use our arms to hug. We all need now to face our grief, face our grief, face our grief. We all need now to face our grief and let those feelings out. We all need now to remember our past, remember our past, remember our past. We all need now to remember our past and share it all together. Well, I think you saw some of my motions there. So I'll just go through them again and a little more specifically for you. So we all need now to talk about race. We're not just talking, we're listening. So we all need now to talk about race, which means we're leaning forward, listening to whoever's talking to us. Talk about race, talk about race. We all need now to talk about race. Let's work this conflict out. For me, working this conflict out, we're standing strong in our stead. Each one of us is standing strong in who we are, and we're holding our arms together. We're linking our arms together. So, and then the next line, we all need to trust each other. Well, I'm sure you've been in a circle where you had to trust somebody and lean back, right? So we all need to trust each other. I'm leaning back, and then I'm leaning back again. We all need to trust others, trust others, trust others. We all need to trust others. Let's use our arms to hug. That's a pretty easy one, isn't it? All right. Then we all need now to feel our grief. So if you're feeling your grief, it's in your heart, right? But you're also feeling you're probably downcast with your eyes. So we all need now to feel our grief, feel our grief, feel our grief. We all need now to feel our grief and let those feelings out. So let those feelings come out and share them with the community. And then finally, we all need to remember our past. So we all need to now to remember our past. I have my right hand over my right temple, and my left hand has an open heart, because as I'm remembering my past, I'm also opening up to you. We all need now to remember our past, remember our past, remember our past. We all need now to remember our past and share it all together. All right. Well, I think I'm looking at the clock and I'm kind of concerned because it's 45 minutes after the hour. I think we've done some wonderful things with this, but I think we need to move on. We're so grateful JD is here, and I'm sure he'd just be so enlivened and amused by us going through that again, but let's just move on. Okay, so I think we move on to our sacred reading by Patty.
Right. We're going to have just a brief poem from Padre Gotuma. It's a prayer. It's a prayer poem that sets up, I think, JD's talk. And it's a prayer of shelter and shadow. There's a saying in Irish, Ar scora hela wars nathena, and that is, it is in the shelter of each other that the people live, but it also means shadow. So it's in the shadow of each other that the people live. So here's the prayer of shelter and shadow. It is in the shelter of each other that the people live. It is in the shadow of each other that the people live. We know that sometimes we are alone, and sometimes we are in community. Sometimes we feel like exiles in our land, in our languages, and in our bodies. And sometimes we feel surrounded by welcome. As we seek to be human together, may we share the things that do not fade: generosity, truth-telling, silence, respect, and love. And may the power we share be for the good of all. We honor our Creator, the source of this rich life, and we honor each other, our stories, full and lively. Whether in our shadow or in our shelter, may we live well and fully with each other. Amen. So now we'll go into replaying JD's presentation from June 2025 from the Creation Spirituality Communities Gathering. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here, and I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, JD Stillwater. JD, welcome. We're glad that you're here. JD is a science ambassador, a writer, and a culture shifter. He speaks and writes about profound revelations and insights from how natural reality works. His mission as a science ambassador is focusing on the vastness and beauty of the cosmos, with a gift for making difficult science concepts graspable for average people. JD continues his decades-long career as a science educator. He shares revelations and insights from mainstream conventional science as a source of interfaith spirituality. He offers insights from how nature works that inform and promote personal, cultural, and organizational change. For this and for being with us today, JD, we are grateful. So take it away.
I'm grateful to be here too. Thank you, Shelley. I promise you, Stephen and I did not coordinate beforehand, but what he just shared and what I just shared mesh nicely, I think. You can be the judge of that. But he was sort of at the cosmic level, and we're going to now bring the same ideas down to the very personal level. Let me start sharing my screen so I don't forget to do that. Okay, hopefully we're good there. And I want to begin with a short little 14-word poem, and the title is Inherited. How to even begin amidst mounded heirlooms to discern the given from the plundered. Well, this is, let's see. Here we go. Let's try this again. This is my mom with her 2 great-grandchildren, and only one of them is a genetic descendant of hers. Can you tell which? No, you cannot. And if for even a fraction of a second you thought you could, well, think about that. Our brains have habits, and those habits come from somewhere. And that's what I want to get at today. In 2008, I took a test of implicit bias, and I discovered that in spite of all my enlightened efforts at treating everyone the same, my subconscious mind holds this stubborn bias against people of color. If you haven't yet taken a test of implicit bias, please do. There's a link on the screen. But where does this bias come from? Well, there seems to be something about our culture, something that's deeply embedded in us, especially us Euro-Americans, that seems to put us at odds with our indigenous neighbors and with the generous ecosystems that support us.
Lori, the video paused.
Even at odds with evolution itself, we're kind of dysfunctional in those ways. But why? Well, after reading this book, I have a clue about that. I think the origins of my culture's dysfunctions are rooted in trauma. We know that families that have endured trauma are more prone to addiction, abuse, neglect, and other kinds of family dysfunctions. And such families often have an unspoken code of conduct that goes, don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, and don't remember. Don't talk about the embarrassing dysfunctions. Don't trust anyone because traumatized people are unpredictable and they can be violent. Don't trust your feelings because they don't matter and you'll probably be punished if you express them. And don't remember anything that would undermine the happy family facade because everyone else in the family is just going to deny it anyway. Disney got it right with their movie Encanto. We don't talk about Bruno. We work and we fight and we sulk, but we don't talk, trust, feel, or remember. Now, when nations are rooted in trauma, that same code applies. We get racial hierarchies. Violence and the threat of violence is the only imaginable means of security. We get soul-crushing patriarchies and this kind of shallow nationalism that requires us to forget our own history. And all of that then manifests as a social culture that idealizes individualism and selfishness and consumerism, neglect of community and the commons, and the callous desecration of natural systems that are our source and our kin. Now, trauma results from events or circumstances that have lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning and well-being. And I heard a short definition of trauma, and it's just too much, too fast, too soon. Trauma puts us in fight or flight mode, where the more primitive parts of our brains take over. This is actually a great gift from evolution. when your existence is on the line, there's no time for rational thought. So the problem-solving cortex, what Michael Dowd called our monkey mind and our higher porpoise, that our cortex part of our brain surrenders control to the lizard brain, to the limbic system, so we can fight, flee, freeze, fawn, or put on a facade. Anything that later reminds us of the trauma, even subconsciously, puts us back in that primitive brain mode. So what's this trauma I'm talking about? Imagine for a moment what it was like to live in Europe during the Middle Ages. Brutal, ongoing oppression from people who looked just like you, with routine torture, wars, famines, plagues, incredibly cruel punishments that would be trauma-inducing for us to even imagine today. Now imagine it lasting 1,000 years, 50 generations. By the time the Renaissance came around, I think my ancestors were severely damaged and they didn't even know it. They called it Western civilization. You've probably seen or heard this word somewhere, and I think it might be related to how medieval trauma could still affect me today. Epigenetics is a pioneering branch of molecular genetics, and it's only really been around since about the 1990s. So in school, you probably learned about how genes are encoded by DNA and how those gene blueprints determine all your physical features, as well as some mental and emotional ones too. But that's not the whole story. Our genes come with packaging. And for decades, we thought that that packaging was inert, that it had no role in our development. But it turns out it plays a fairly active role in regulating gene expression. So our genes get turned on or off, or they're more or less active based on the packaging. And the packaging is inherited. And that's called epigenetic inheritance, because your genes, the DNA itself, might not change from generation to generation, but its activity can be changed in a way that's passed on. So what does this have to do with trauma? Well, the seminal experiment on this was just done in 2013. It's recent. The experimenters exposed mice to acetophenone, which is just a chemical that smells like cherry blossoms, just for a few seconds. And during those seconds, they gave the mice a harmless but painful shock to their feet. They did this 5 times. The next day, 5 more times. A whiff of the cherry blossoms, shock to the feet. And then again on a 3rd day. And then that's it. They let the mice live out their lives, including mating and having babies. Well, when the baby mice were grown, they exposed these baby mice to that same smell, and they immediately became anxious. Their heart rate and blood pressure rose, and their behavior looked like they were in panic. A whole generation later, the grandchild mice reacted the same way to the smell of cherry blossoms. So, they scratched their heads and ran the experiment again. But this time they isolated the babies from the parents at birth. Same thing. They used in vitro fertilization and surrogate mothers. Same thing. And these were just harmless shocks over 3 days. This result is so surprising and potentially so relevant to who we are that the field has just exploded. So now there are hundreds of studies on epigenetically inherited effects of trauma. And it's not simple or clear-cut. There are lots of factors. Not all traumas show up as dramatically as it did with the mice. And in humans, there is not yet any evidence of epigenetic inheritance beyond 3 generations. So we don't really have evidence that supports epigenetic inheritance from trauma in the Middle Ages to today. But they're working on it. And if it turns out that trauma experienced by my ancestors 600 years ago might have lingering effects in my epigenome, it suggests that some of my gut reactions, including ones I don't really like about myself, may have been programmed long before I was even born. But either way, cycles of trauma and dysfunction continue, if not through epigenetics, then by the more well-known means of what people say, hurt people hurt people. So the most important part of his quote is trauma decontextualized in a people looks like culture. Let me get back. There it is. The connection he makes in his book is that our modern global culture, and specifically Euro-American culture, is rooted in the trauma of medieval Europe. And that trauma informed and shaped my Euro-American heritage. And it allowed my ancestors to brutalize and exploit indigenous people and their ecosystems everywhere they went, initiating a self-repeating cycle of intergenerational trauma and dysfunction that obviously continues today. So what do we do now? Knowing that all of us are affected by this, what I call post-medieval stress disorder, how do we honor the seventh generation and release them from this cycle? Well, I think we have to break the rules that we inherited from our dysfunctional families and cultures. We have to talk about uncomfortable subjects. We have to trust our neighbors and people that we reflexively regard as the other. I think we have to feel our feelings and honor them, find out what they're trying to tell us. As Stephen said, we have to listen to all the voices, including our own, our body's voices. And then I think we have to remember the foolish and evil stuff that's in our heritage too, along with the glorious triumphs. And above all, we have to learn how to calm and soothe our trauma responses, our reptile brains. Resmamenicum describes techniques that his ancestors used to soothe their bodies and build resilience during the compounded traumas of enslavement and the Jim Crow era. So I encourage you to study his books because those same exercises can help Euro-Americans as well. And we can incorporate some of those techniques into our daily routines. Other things that might help include yoga, maybe meditation, 12-step programs, Sufi and folk dancing, maybe massage and other kinds of deep body work, because it's in our bodies, this residual decontextualized trauma. I know that almost every immigrant to this continent came here as a refugee from some trauma, from religious persecution or famine, extreme poverty, war or genocide, or enslavement. And of course, Native Americans are refugees from all of those traumas, but inflicted on them in their own land. So ancestral trauma affects all of us. Now, for those of you who've been holding your breath this entire time, trying to figure out what is going on in this picture, I'll tell you sort of. One of these kids is a genetic descendant of my mom, and the other is the child of the same-sex marriage of my mom's grandchild. And no, there is no way to tell from the photo which is which. And the point is that to my mom, it makes no difference whatsoever. These are her great-grandchildren, full stop. I suspect, I'm going to say I know that everybody here today wants to leave a wholesome and functional society and biosphere for our deep-time descendants. I do too. But to create that, I think I have to strive not to pass on the unresolved trauma that comes with my cultural heritage. So I have work to do. We have work to do. So let's get started. This is from W.S. Merwin, who writes, "Again, this procession of the speechless, bringing me their words. The future woke me with its silence. I join the procession. An open doorway speaks for me again."
Beautiful. Thank you, JD. Thank you so much. Join me in appreciation for JD. And thank you guys for being here.
So much. That was wonderful to hear it a second time.
So
JD.
I'm hoping that JD has had a chance to actually swallow 2 or 3 mouthfuls of food after a long drive. And it's just a thrill to have you with us, JD. I don't know if you want to add something before we have questions or something. You should get first dibs.
Well,
Definitely.
as it was playing, I was thinking that some of you may be interested in seeing the long version of that
Mm.
talk. That was a very much a distillation of a much longer 90-minute workshop that my spouse Ann and I did together for so I think it was Lori mentioned the Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists. We did that for the Denominational National Conference last year, and it was recorded. Um, so I will put a link to that video. I couldn't share it when we did this a year ago because you had to register for the conference to see it. But after Labor Day, they let me make it available to the public. So
Oh, wonderful. That's fabulous. That's
and
fabulous.
that goes much deeper into the science and why at this point it's limited to 2 or 3 generations. So if you're interested,
Yeah.
that link will be in the chat.
And I'm sure that you would know if there's any more recent research.
It's ongoing. I don't think there have been any major breakthroughs in the last
Okay,
year.
all right, just more of same.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Oh, wow.
And
I want
I guess the point is that whether epigenetics is involved and how long its impacts continue to reverberate is almost irrelevant. I think it's interesting to know that there's a physical basis for this, for multi-generational trauma. But one of the things about trauma is that it keeps revisiting the generations with or without epigenetics. You know, if you had an alcoholic grandparent, that affects your parents, and your parents' parenting style then affects you. And we see this, it's not just with addiction, it's with all kinds of trauma. It's why, you know, I just saw yesterday, I guess New York State is actually, they have started a commission to talk about reparations for slavery and everything that came afterwards. And I saw something on social media about this, and I made the mistake of looking at the comments, which is always a mistake. And many people, not a majority, but enough people to be significant, said, "You were never a slave. You don't deserve reparations." And of course, that is just not how it works. You know, it's even, yeah. If you know anything about Tulsa or, you know, even right here in Harrisburg, there was a whole neighborhood of mostly people of color that in the, I think it was the 1950s, the federal government essentially condemned the whole neighborhood, bulldozed the houses, and built the new federal courthouse. And so it's called the Eighth Ward. And really only in the last 10 years has the city come to recognize what was lost when they did that. You know, families lost everything. And these were, you know, the descendants of slaves who had done everything right and built up a certain amount of business acumen and wealth, and they lost it all because the federal government came in and bulldozed their houses. So, you know, it's happened probably in almost every city, something like it. And the reparations are not just for slavery, they're for the ongoing trauma that keeps being revisited on generation after generation. So I'll stop there, and whatever questions come up, we can talk about.
Okay, would any of our guests like to address questions to JD?
If the screen can stop being shared, I can see more of you at a time. That would be nice. It would feel more
Center,
communal.
you can change that yourself on your own screen.
Well, the regular gallery is not showing.
You can change the view, JD. Change your view to gallery.
And unspotlight JD. Spotlight, he's not on it now. Okay.
Yeah. Anita, did you get to see any of the presentation? Okay, all right, hon. Okay. All right, well, please have at it, ask him questions. What struck you? Anita, you need to unmute for us to hear you.
She's working on it.
Yeah. By the way, all of these talks are recorded, so you could go back and see it. You know, you would see the presentation in the YouTube version of it for sure.
While she's looking, just a point of clarification, because in the talk you mentioned the year 2020 for the study that came out with the mice, but the original study shown was 2014. So was it then originally 2014 and they came back to it in 2020 to do the further research? Is that?
No, it was 2013. If I said 2020, that was a mistake.
Uh-huh.
2013 was the original study,
Uh-huh.
and it was probably published in 2014.
Mhm.
And there isn't any reason why. I mean, this would be a question to ask at the very beginning, whether there would be any natural reason why they would be not like cherry blossom smells. You know,
No.
because they're so. Obviously, the answer would be no, but that part wasn't necessarily. It's very interesting. It's a very fascinating field, epigenetics, and you mentioned your frustration. It just seems like it's all about educating people. And unfortunately, it does seem like sometimes when we try to educate people and you use facts and figures, that can have an adverse effect.
Yes.
So I
Storytelling
guess that's a
was-
good question for you. How do you deal with the fact that we live in a time that it's almost as if the more data you present, the less likely you're able to make your case because you repel a segment of the population that you're perhaps most needing to reach?
Yeah, what seems to work best is narratives, stories that include the data that people can personalize and say, "Oh yeah, that's happened to me," or something like that. It's
After
not it's not that data or science results are toxic. It's that when they're presented as just the facts, ma'am, with no emotional content, they don't land. There has to be emotional content. There has to be relatability. And people don't make decisions based on facts. We would like to think that we are rational beings, but we're not. We're storytellers. We're narrative beings. And
I
we operate primarily by emotion.
I do hear that kind of leveled a lot at Americans, that they're much more likely to be driven by a charismatic individual rather than somebody who perhaps is less charismatic. But I don't know that if we were a bunch of Finnish people, for example, that we would expect the same kind of reaction.
Certainly not the same. They are much more highly educated. Their education system seems to be more functional, more relational. Yeah, I'm not an expert on comparative education systems, but I think you're onto something. I don't think it's completely irrelevant. The
Thinking
cultural
about
vacuum. Yeah.
stories, you recommended a book in that talk, The Grandmother's Hands. And I read it after listening to you, and that just continued that narrative on. And it was so powerful. It was so powerful about the different types of trauma that we have. And it explained a lot about violence against Blacks, the police body, and the trauma that is so far beyond anybody just learning, well, I react because of this. No, I react because of that. And it was just really a good book, and I thank you for recommending that.
Lori, when we heard this talk again, I just put a link to that book in the chat if
Thank
people
you.
are interested in it. Yeah, and Patty, I have to say I was there, like not in person, but virtually there when the first time, JD, that you gave this, and so I remember it. So thank you for having us hear this and see this again. I think I didn't realize how much I needed to hear it and see it again. So thank you. And I'm going to put in the chat right now the person who I have found to be so very helpful in reminding me of the plasticity of the brain. That's Dr. Rick Hansen. And, he talks about what fires together, wires together, and that we can change. Um, and yeah, the brain plasticity. And so I was hearing you say, hurt people, and pain that is not transformed is transferred. And I'm trying to flip that to think, well, what is the positive way to say that in the negative? And that is that I don't want to say healed because nobody's healed, but healing people, heal people, healing people, heal people. And it reminds me of last month, that first Sunday when we got to hear Matthew Fox. And I was like sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting with bated breath to feel like, okay, but what's the point? Like, when are we going to get to what is that? And then, like, the thing that he said at the very end was, and I don't remember the question, but it was something like, and so therefore, what we need to do is, and anybody remember? He said, love ourselves the best we can. And so I've been hanging on to that for the last month. And I'm thinking a lot about circles of control. Like, what do I have control over? This much, not right. And so, like, how can I best live in this time? And that is to try to follow Matthew Fox's word of wisdom.
Yeah, the circles of control, although that I don't normally use that phrase, but it's the same idea, has really kept me sane for the last year and a third. Every piece of dismaying news that, comes out of the radio, I'm tempted to get all excited about. I have to remind myself, I don't control that. I can influence it. I can vote. I can share my voice. But ultimately, I am not in charge of foreign policy. I am not in charge of labor policy. There are a lot of things that if I try to take responsibility for, I will drive myself nuts. And so loving myself and continuing that process of healing the trauma that lies in my family's background, going, I'm not sure how far back, that is within my control. That is something I can do. I can get to know my neighbors better, including maybe especially the neighbors who have a very different worldview than I do and who vote, differently than I do. The things within my control are the things before me.
And I have to say too, JD, I see that you have the Unitarian Universalist what do you call that?
Flaming chalice. Yeah.
Chalice. Thank you, chalice. Behind you. So I don't know what your personal family religious background is. I will tell you, for me, I'm going to be in a lifetime of recovery from my fundamentalist, evangelical, conservative Baptist upbringing, and
Congratulations on your deconstruction.
thank you. And when I hear Matthew Fox say to love myself the best I can, whoa, there's a lot of stuff I have to unpack there. What does that mean? What does that look like? How is that?
Yep. I can almost hear the voices in your head telling you that that's a selfish thing to say or think. Right?
Oh, God. JD, I wanted to bring up the fact that your talk is the only explanation I have ever heard that gives me a little insight into what's going on in the Zionist mind about annihilating the Palestinian people so that they can be safe. And they want to annihilate them in Lebanon and Iran or wherever they go, we're going to get them. And probably the same kind of sickness in the Hamas mind that thought it was a great idea to murder people and kidnap them and do like, how the hell did they come up with these crazy, fruitless, destructive ideas? They're terrible. They're
Yeah.
unwinnable,
I think when you approach the question of Israel, I think you're absolutely correct that what they want more than anything else is to be safe. And they
Yes.
have never been safe in 2,000 years. I'm not convinced that they have the intention of annihilating their neighbors. I think they really just want to be safe. And it's the problem that we all face in that region of the world is very intractable. And I don't have answers for it, but I do agree with you that trauma is playing the premier role on all the sides. And there are more than two sides. I mean, I follow somebody on Facebook who is a Gazan, a Palestinian living in Gaza, and he wants as much as anyone for Hamas to just go away because Hamas is awful, horrible, brutal against the people, the civilian people living in Gaza. And he also is not at all happy with the way the IDF is going about it. So there are more sides than two, although sort of the popular way of framing it makes it sound like there are just two.
Incidentally, there is a link in the chat about Pink Floyd remaking their song "Comfortably Numb" with a Palestinian woman with a gorgeous voice, and it's framed around erasing or getting all of the Gazans to leave, all of the refugees, all of the rubble, all of the destruction, all of that is done to that music, and it's very, very powerful.
JD, I have a question about the epigenetics. I guess I'm just curious if there's any data that shows any distinction between the two sexes.
I am not thinking of any studies that break it out by gender or biological sex. It's very difficult to do these studies on human beings because, of course, we're not going to give them shocks to their feet. We're not going to inflict trauma on humans. So most of the studies involve the Dutch famine or the Holocaust or we have to go back historically. The Rwandan genocide is another one that a lot of people are studying. And actually, now that I think of that, there was some gender bias in the Rwandan genocide. Right now, I'm not remembering how that played out. I would guess that someone has looked at that, but I'm not thinking of anything right now. But it's a great question.
Well, Anita, I don't know if you ever found your unmute button or not. We were waiting for you a while ago to see if you had a question, and maybe this is a good opportunity to give you a chance, another chance. You're still unmute. You're still muted. I don't know if we can help you unmute or not.
Lori or Patty, you might be able to use the participants list to ask her to unmute, and then she could unmute by pushing that button.
But she's not appearing on my participants list. Oh, wait, here she is. Okay.
I did ask to unmute on the thing.
Okay, I
There
just
she
got,
is.
are you
You found
here?
it?
Yay!
No, but I have no visuals at all. It just all disappeared, went away, and then popped up 10 minutes, 15 minutes later. But I can't see you, so I couldn't see the screen to unmute. And I did get what now, and I unmuted, but I can't see
Yeah.
any.
Guys, for
Good.
being here.
Glad you're unmuted now.
Okay.
Anita, we can see you and hear you, so go ahead.
Well, I can't have a question about something I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. Well, we will, if you put your email in the chat.
But I can't get to the chat.
Oh, you can't get to the chat either.
No, you'd have to give me someplace to send it.
Or can you speak your email and then, or maybe
Yes, of course, I could do that.
maybe that's not secure.
Well, she could also go to our website because it will be posted on the website.
Yeah. All right. If you feel like it's okay to tell me your email, I'll copy it down now. Tell me, Anita.
So who can it go out to? Who would be listening? I mean, just the people in the room?
There are 10 people here.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not worried about
This is
people.
the record. This is going to be recorded though. So, maybe
No, it's
it's
best not to put, it's best not for me to say anything.
You can find it on the website later. That way you don't have to be, because this is going to go out to the world at large.
Yeah, no,
Right.
let's not do that.
Okay.
Can you give me the website so I can write it down?
CSC Communities.
CSC Communities.
Well,
Except
it's
for that was one too many C's.
cscommunities.org.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, delete that
CSC
second.
It's
CS
community.
Communities. Just CS Communities.
Oh.
.org.
CS Communities.
.org.
Plural?
Yes, plural.
Yes.
Okay, I will try using that. And I will send you my email. Maybe we can get it figured out how somebody can get through to help me.
And you are in where did you say you are in?
Lawrence, Kansas.
Lawrence. Okay.
Right. And I've been a follower. I do daily meditations every day and all that stuff. So
Okay, all right. Fine. We'll find you, Anita.
okay, I'll send something.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
So unless there's any more questions, we probably should move along. It's 8:25.
Wow.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lori,
Do we
I
always-
just have Lori, in the chat, I was just saying that I don't have your link to the
It's
thing that
the
you were
first-
talking about.
It's the very first one in there.
Yeah,
I just
I think
checked it and it was there.
She logged in after you put that in, Lori. If you can
It's
read.
on, so it's showing up on my computer. Okay. Well,
Right.
anyway, just look up Comfortably Numb, Pink Floyd, new version, 2026. It's absolutely fabulous. You'll find it. It's easy to Google.
I'm copying it and I'm going to paste it in again.
I'm not catching on.
I'm not going to do that. Not now. Well, I'm doing all the other
Not
stuff,
unless I
so.
beat you first, Patty.
Okay.
It's a race. It's a race. There you go.
Okay.
Easy to
Right.
Google.
Love you all. Thank you.
There it is.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
this topic of epigenetics is such a rich one. I tell you what, I wish we could just treat it almost like a faucet where you could walk up and say, well, let's turn this one on a little more, this one on a little less. But I
Yeah.
guess we'll just have to wait for a lot of time to pass before we understand it more fully.
And I'm going to look at that the longer version, JD. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's fabulous. And thank you for being with us for the whole evening. Thank you so much.
I'm glad we got home in time.
Yes,
Such a
I am
treat.
too. I am too. And I'm hoping that you're going to join us for the October gathering of Creation Spirituality Communities, where who knows what he'll come up with next,
Like that.
for October.
And Cheryl put into the chat the link to Grandmother's Hands, which is an absolutely great continuation
Well, and
of this discussion.
And I ordered that book for $1.99 through Kindle.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, so we go to donations, and right now the address is on the screen there if you would like to send in a donation, or you can do that on the web page cscommunities.org. You can find a way to do it there also. You can also find all of the videos from last year's gathering, especially JD's. And so you just have to get on the CS website. So that's that one. And I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl.
I need to unmute and read what we're reading. Okay. Oh, I like this part. Great. I need to see some people though. There we go. Okay. blessing into our wholeness. Please place your hands over your heart and repeat after me. The truth of my being is as radiant as a star. The love within me is stronger than any other force in the universe. I am a beloved blessing of the Creator. Aho, blessed be. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, now we may unmute and turn on our gallery view, and we can place one hand over our heart and extend our other hand toward the screen, and let us bless one another in this beloved community while repeating after me. The truth of your being is as radiant as a star.
The truth
The
of
truth
your
of your
being
being
is as
is
radiant
radiant as a star.
The love within you is stronger than any other force in the universe.
The
Love
love
within you
is
is stronger
stronger
than
than
any
any
other
other
force
force
in the
in the
universe.
universe.
You are a beloved blessing of the Creator.
You are
A beloved blessing of the Creator.
Of the Creator.
Aho, blessed be.
Aho,
Amen.
blessed be.
Thank you, Cheryl. All right, we have just a couple of announcements at the, well, no, we're not ready for that. Go ahead, Cheryl. I'm very sorry.
That's okay. JD Stillwater has his hand raised.
Okay.
That was an automatic thing because my hand was up. Zoom put my hand up.
Oh, that's funny.
That's fascinating. Whoa. Okay. Now I have to find my candle. Here it is. Okay. Extinguishing our candles. Now, as we come to the end of our time together, take your candle and transfer the light to your heart and send it forth to bless those who need blessings. Now extinguish the flame even as our connection continues in spirit.
Okay. Thank you so much. You know what, Lori? If you turn off record, oh wait, I'm sorry. Keep going.
We have a couple of announcements where we're talking about the gathering that's coming up in the fall. It's in St. Louis, Missouri, but you can also join it online. And it's titled Defiant Love, Nurturing Resilient Communities. And that's going to be a lot of speakers and a lot of good spiritual stuff and a lot of good vibes. And then our next set of announcements is there's a new workshop that's coming up soon, June 25th. And it's got the different times on it there. And you have to go once again to cscommunities.org to sign up for that. It's called The Missing Piece in Transformational Work. And there is a cost of $35, but if you go online and you're a supporting member, you get a discount. So that's new. That's a new advertisement. And the other ones are just our regular announcements that we have every month. First Sundays is meeting July 5th and August 2nd. The first Thursdays is meeting it's meeting July 2nd. And Song Pass meets on Tuesdays, but I'm not sure which one. And then there's
Second
also
Tuesday. Song Path is the second Tuesday of the month.
second Tuesday.
It'll be this coming Tuesday.
Okay, good. And then the workshop again. Oh, and towards the end of the month, we have something called Communities of Practice. I think that's on Fridays. And so the next one is June 25th. So those are some of the offerings that we have. So that's it. I'm going to turn off the slide.